everyone! I have decided that it's about time I made a special video for Pride Month. The main reason I wanted to make a Pride video was not just to celebrate Pride Month, but because there are so many misconceptions about the concept of Pride and about the LGBTQ+ community as a whole, and I figured, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna address some of those. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm kind of sad because I am coming to this video from a kind of angry place. Because if you read the news, you may be aware that whilst it is Pride Month and lots of companies are putting rainbows on their products, which is great and not at all a marketing ploy, there is also a group of straight men who have decided to argue against Pride Month by organising their very own straight Pride March. Burn the entire world. Seriously, just burn it. People are too stupid to deserve the planet. So if you're sitting there watching this video and thinking, well, hang on, we have gay pride, why don't we have straight pride? Let me just ask you a couple of very simple questions. How many countries can you name where it's illegal to be straight? How often do you find straight couples who have been refused goods or services on account of the fact that they are straight? How many organisations do you know, or religions do you know, that actively persecute straight people for no reason other than their straightness because they believe it's unnatural? The answer to all of those questions is literally none. There are none. We don't have straight pride because there's no need for one. Gay people have seen their community attacked and denied rights that all of the rest of the world take for granted. Pride is not just about celebrating the gay community, it's about being proud and saying, do you know what? You've done this to us, but we are still gonna hold our heads up high because we have every right to exist and every right to be just as proud of our own existence as straight people. So before you start going, hang on, why isn't there a straight pride? Why not be thankful that you genuinely don't need one? It's genuinely depressing that it's 2019 and I'm still having to say this stuff, but you know, there'll always be groups of very, very fragile individuals who feel that everything has to be about them. All of which leads me neatly onto the second thing that really annoys me, and it's this attitude. Like, I don't mind gay people existing, but do they have to shove it in our faces? I mean, they literally don't. They literally don't do that. You don't have to go to a pride march. You don't have to partake in any kind of gay activity if you don't want to. Nobody is shoving anything in your literal face, are they? And what people actually mean when they say, oh, I just wish gay people wouldn't shove it in my face, is I really wish we could just go back to the days when people had to hide their sexuality for shame. Congratulations, if that's your attitude, you are a terrible human. For most of the world, thank goodness, homosexuality is no longer illegal. You can walk down the street holding your same-sex partner's hand, and that's completely fine. And if that freaks you out, that's your problem, it's not anybody else's. Besides, let's not pretend for a split second that society does not force heteronormative standards on children from birth. It genuinely horrifies me that any level of homophobia still exists in 2019 because, like most phobias or isms, it comes from complete and utter ignorance, and there is so much information out there now that we should have no excuse for being that ignorant. Let's face it, we now live in a world where most people realise how fluid sexuality is. Yes, sexuality can be fluid. Even yours. Yes, you. How do I know how fluid sexuality can be? Well, 2 reasons. Firstly, because I actually read stuff rather than remain ignorant, just a thought. Secondly, because I got to the age of 34 telling myself I was 100% straight until I realised not so much. Buckle up, people! It's about to get personal! Towards the end of 2016, I went through some stuff. And I continued to go through some stuff until mid-2017. I was not in a good place. I was incredibly depressed. I eventually ended up in counselling for severe depression and anxiety. I was just not happy. I needed support, and I didn't really have a huge support network outside of my family. But there was one person, this one girl that I didn't even know very well, but she had offered to sort of check up on me a couple of times a week to see how I was doing because she knew what I was going through. I thought nothing of this. I'd always thought she was a really nice person. Well, like I said, we didn't know each other that well, but I'd always thought, wow, she's so lovely. I'm really pleased that she's being so kind to me, and I really appreciate it. And that was the extent of it. But as time went on, I started really looking forward to hearing from her a couple of times a week. And we ended up not just talking about my stuff, but about her life, and we got to know each other an awful lot better. I still thought basically nothing of it, even when she would occasionally post a photo of herself on Facebook, and I'd think, oh, she's so pretty. After all, I was 100% straight, and the idea of being with a woman had always kind of grossed me out a little bit. No, I'm not proud of admitting that, but it's true. So I thought nothing beyond what a lovely person this girl is and how nice it is that she's being so friendly, until one day I realised that I dreamt of her for like 3 or 4 nights in a row. Nothing happened in those dreams beyond us being like out having a drink together, or out for dinner, or sat on the sofa watching a movie together, but she was just constantly in my head. And I found myself lying in bed one night asking myself a question that I had never asked myself about any female ever. And that was, what would you say if she asked you out? And what was really weird was immediately, without any thought, I went, obviously I'd say yes. I was very bemused by the fact that I didn't doubt my answer in the slightest. There was no part of me that was like, don't be stupid, I wouldn't say yes, she's a girl. I just knew, yes, if she asked me out, I would absolutely go on a date with her because she's kind and she's funny and I really like talking to her and she's pretty. Why wouldn't I go on a date with her? That was out of completely and utterly nowhere how I realised that actually a person's gender is kind of irrelevant. But like I said, I was in a really bad place and there was no way I was in the right mindset to work out what that meant for me personally. So I did the very healthy thing of burying it completely and telling no one. Until several months later, I was out one evening and I bumped into a girl and we made eye contact and I literally just went, oh my God, I love her. And that was when I thought, right, okay, fine, I'm in a better headspace. I probably need to address the fact that I really would go out with a girl if I met one that I liked, and I apparently do find women attractive now. Who knew? I guess most people would use the term bisexual, but I really don't care for labels. As far as I'm concerned, if I click with somebody, I can imagine myself with them, and that's fine. No big deal. Of course, now it's been a couple of years and I have had time to get my head around it. I'm a lot more comfortable with it. It's not something that I get confused or weirded out by. And yes, my number 1 celebrity crush at the moment is a woman. Oh, Rachel. And you would be amazed how common this is. I am not special. No, I'm not remotely special. This happens a lot. For example, when I decided, do you know what, I've got my head around this, I've realised this is a part of who I am, I'm just going to talk about this to some people so that I'm not just bottling it all up, and I told my family and my friends, I suddenly discovered that almost every person I knew has someone in their life that this has happened to. People just kept saying to me, oh yeah, I've got this friend and she was married to a guy, she'd only ever been out with guys, and then just out of nowhere she met a woman, fell in love with her, and now they live together. We like to put people in boxes and that is where they stay, but that is not the fact of the matter. Sexuality is not necessarily this rigid, stagnant thing where you are always this and you can never, ever, ever deviate. I know plenty of straight people who are like, oh yeah, well, you know, I would never, ever say never, because if you meet someone and you fall for them, why would you rule out being with someone who makes you happy just because they're not of the gender you're normally attracted to? Anyway, this got super personal and intense. I guess what I'm trying to say is what my lightbox over there says. Love is love. I don't care whether you love a man, whether you love a woman, whether you sometimes love both, or whether you love people who do not conform to a gender. I don't care. Just treat people kindly and with some respect. That is all I ask this Pride Month, is that we all are kind and loving and respectful to each other. If we can do that, I will be a very happy Emma. I'm going to go now because I have so much to do. Yes, my constant grind of having too much to do has not stopped. Yay. So I will talk to you all next week, where we will hopefully delve into something less deep and meaningful, but you know what? Sometimes I think it's good to get things off our chest. And I feel that I have. If you enjoyed this video, you can feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can click on my floaty head up here if you would like to subscribe to this channel and see what other content I make. And over here is last week's video. I am going to go now. I hope you all have a wonderful month, whether you are celebrating Pride or not. But let's all be proud of who we are. Take care, everyone. Bye.